welcome to all of you folks from Columbia to our Ivy League Football Media Day. We're delighted to have the three of you here. What we'll do, so that you know, is I'm going to talk a little bit with Coach Poppy and then just bring the two of you, both Caleb and Charlie, into the conversation and get some of your thoughts here, and then may well have some questions posed by some media members afterwards. All right. So again, our thanks to all of you for joining. Coach, I'm going to start with you, please, if we could. And what I'm doing with all of the coaches is asking you to give us a bit of, in my old profession as a trial lawyer, it was an opening statement. Politically, it could be a state of the program as we go into your third year. So give us a sense as you're looking forward, what it is you're looking forward to.
Just getting the guys back and ready to play, right? And we're excited to bring in a whole new recruiting class, our second full one since I've gotten here. And we're excited to see what they can contribute to this season, right? As we continue to build, right, a consistent championship program here at Columbia. Was really excited about how our team attacked the offseason, winter specifically, right? With our strength staff, knowing how we finished last year with a high after several weeks of really devastating lows, right? And really just from a competitive conditioning standpoint, these guys, led by our two captains here, were tremendous in terms of their attention to detail, which had to tremendously improve from a year ago in 2025. And these guys carried that momentum into the spring with specifically these two on defense with a new coordinator, a new system, new terminology, new way of communicating to each other. And that's been a huge thing for me. That's exciting as we go into this year is to see some of the steps a lot of young people that played significant snaps for us on defense took, right? Because that's traditionally been a strength of Columbia is the defense. And we expect to return in that way for what's made us a consistent winning program. And as we look into this summer, these guys did a great job of just bringing people with them. And I think that's the part I'm most proud of as the head coach as we've built this program is that it's no longer just individuals leading by example, right? It's people bringing people together. If this guy's doing work at 6 a.m., he's bringing not just himself, but others with him. And I think that shows true growth of a program and why we're so excited to get back to work here in August.
You mentioned the growth of a program. We talked about this the third year that you've been there. You had that extraordinary first year in 2024, share of the Ivy title. Last year, there were a ton of injuries. It seems like every time we were doing a Columbia game, it was like a mass unit. Who might be able to play? How far down the depth chart are we now for the next game? And that's part of football. You know that. So that all being said, what does Columbia have to do this season to get back to the 2024 Columbia as opposed to last season?
Yeah. As coaches, we need to adapt better to personnel like we did in 2024. We still had injuries in 2024. People forget about that. We played three quarterbacks that season too. And that's where as coaches, we've got to be better with our available personnel and putting guys in positions where they can be successful and not just relying on the X's and O's, right? What can our guys truly do from snap to snap? And these young guys, right? It's the power of choice, right? And owning their choices in terms of their courage. And understanding, okay, yes, Caleb Solomon's playing in front of me, but it's a play away for me being on the field. And how diligent are we in our preparation as guys are maybe 2 or 3 or fighting for larger roles from a program standpoint? And that's where, again, this spring, this winter, we saw more of that hunger from across the board in the sense of guys not being satisfied with being labeled as a 2 or a 3 and that, okay, if I get my shot, I'm going to make sure I'm ready to play so this team does not suffer any sort of setback and we can play Columbia football.
Are you, and this is always an interesting question to ask a coach, because I'm sort of searching for the word to use. My question to you is, are you pleased or satisfied or whatever word you might want to use in terms of the progress that the Columbia program has made from your first year back in 2024 to where you are now?
I wouldn't say I'm pleased because of the year we had, right? But there's always a hunger, as we talked about, following the 24 season, right? There's consistent hunger in why we do what we do on a daily basis. And if there's not that hunger, if that hunger doesn't exist, then what are we doing as collegiate Division I athletes, right? What are we doing as Ivy League athletes that want to conquer the world? And that's what's been awesome to recruit young people here is that they are true competitors in every sense of the word. living in a New York City environment every single day with how these guys attacked internships, how they attacked their summer jobs, found time to, be teammates with each other in workouts and professional development, and even practicing their faith together. I mean, this team is extremely close, which I'm excited about this year to see these two captains lead our team and just what these two young men stand for as representatives of this year's edition of Columbia football. And that's all led by Peter Pilling and what he's done here as athletic director. It's no small feat in what he's done to create success across the board as a sports program, right? Women's basketball, men's basketball hires an assistant off Florida's national championship team. We got a tennis player making the third round in Wimbledon. I mean, we're surrounded by greatness. Nick's bringing a championship back to New York City. I mean, this is an awesome place to be for a Division I student athlete. And these guys are showing the type of hunger that needs to exist. It's my experience in the Ivy League to have a chance to win a lot of games.
You've been taking advantage of all of those factors in your recruiting to get young men to come play for Columbia. Let's get a little bit of a specific focus on the upcoming season. So let's start with the offensive side of the ball, and let's start with the quarterback situation, because as you mentioned, the last few years it's been a plague of QB injuries. Now what you've gotten is next man up, which is certainly, as a coach, you'd like to see. But give me a sense what you're thinking the quarterback situation looks like right now.
It has experience, as we've talked about, right? Chase Goodwin's our starter. I mean, he was before his injury in 24, he was playing as good as any quarterback in our conference if you go back and watch his tape. And we anticipate him returning to form with receivers that are experienced, where in 24 we did graduate a number of pass catchers that helped us have success, right? And so we return Hutch Crow, we return Beckett Robinson, who came on late as a true freshman, right? We have Braden Doherty, a tight end, coming back, Casey O'Sullivan, a tight end, coming back, and Caleb Sanchez is actually going to back him up, right? We had a freshman who had some highlights running the football, Xander Eshelman, who suffered a season-ending injury with a hamstring, and then Xander Menepace filled in different roles throughout the season. So you've got four guys with snaps that played in competitive football, and they've taken steps from a maturity standpoint to compete for the job. But Chase, going into the season, is our starting quarterback, and we expect him to have a great year.
A lot of people, when they think Columbia, they'll think, putting the ball in the air, great quarterbacks, great receivers. But from watching you, seems that the core of what you're going to do there is run the football. How do you see, had a great Michael Walters last year, had a great sort of breakout performance. Give us your sense of the running game moving into this season.
Yeah. I think Coach Perry said it right. All starts up front, the offensive line, and we've got three guys returning with significant snaps for the last 2 years, whether it's Amari Owens, Nick Windsor, or Sean Kamani. We'll see two guys battle it out. Well, not just two, but for two open positions. And we're excited about the holes they can open up for runners like Michael, like Griff Johnson, who had a great finish in the Cornell game, rushing for 200 plus yards. So we have a lot of experience now. And then you add a guy who showed, again, flashes, Jamir Pitcher, who was a freshman for us last year. We expect him to do some fun things from an explosive element standpoint, our offense. And it's Coach Saitu Smith's job to get these pass catchers and ball carriers and athletes in space, and to create maybe some elements you haven't seen from Columbia to get back to where we had some more explosive plays on offense in 24, whether Bryson Canty, right? And now, again, we have some talented receivers coming back that have experience, which we're excited about.
How about on the defensive side? It always seems that Columbia, at least for the last series of years, always has a great stable of linebackers, guys coming in, establishing themselves, all Ivy level players, but you lose a bunch of them. So, from the defensive perspective, looking to this season, what are strengths? What do you have to get better at?
Well, one neat thing is we return to top four of our five tacklers, right? Our entire secondary's coming back. Yes, we lose a great player, all-time sack leader in Justin Townsend, but I think we've got some young guys coming up who are very healthy, or hungry, I should say. Luke Walker, right? And a Julius Patton, who had some glimpses in the Cornell game, missed a sack. I know that's created some hunger. And then led by Captain, Chuck Newton here, and Andrew Burmeister, who's a true freshman who started at linebacker 4 years ago. Liam Doniger adding depth. And as I mentioned, with the starting secondary coming back, led by Caleb Solomon here. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about, but we know how much work we need to do. We did not play this game fundamentally well at all last year as a defense. We didn't take the ball away well enough, and that's something I know is a major point of focus for us this preseason is making sure offensively we're protecting the football, right? And defensively we're taking it away.
Let me bring both the players in here as part of the conversation. Caleb, I'll start with you, and then Chuck, I'll get to you in a minute. But so, Caleb, one of the things Coach mentioned, an entire secondary coming back. Right, that's sounds like a great luxury. You rarely see an entire unit coming back intact. As you look at your unit, I'll ask the same question that I asked Coach. What did you see about last year's performance, and what do you need to get better at for this year's performance?
First off, I just want to thank you, Mr. Ford, for all
Mhm.
you do for the Ivy League. I really appreciate you. And like Coach Pop said, Mr. Pilling for all he does for the program. But like well, a little bit what Coach Pop said, just the fundamentals. I feel like there's a lot of talent coming back on the defensive side. A lot of young guys that have a lot of juice to bring to the table. Just learning how to play the game fundamentally more sound is was really going to help us to be able to develop and be the DB room that we want to be next year. I feel like we have a lot of guys that are with a new defensive coordinator, Ryan Osborne, that are learning the fundamentals that we're going to need to be able to be successful. And then also just taking the ball away, like Coach Pop said, our main goal as a defense is just to get the ball back to our offense and put them in better positions to score and get points on the board and have explosive plays. So our main goal needs to be getting the ball away from the opposing offense and just giving our offense a better opportunity to score as well.
Chuck, from your perspective, as I mentioned a few moments ago, it seems like every year there's some great linebackers, playing for Columbia. And there's been a whole rash of them since you've been there, and you're the next one there. But what kind of talk about the pressure a little bit of being the next guy up, in terms of a long line of guys. Anthony Russos, we had Jack Smikowski, Scott Valentes. These are all Ivy caliber guys. Talk about what you think the defense will look like this season without them there.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Mr. Ford, and thank you to Mr. Pilling for what you guys do. I'll just say that, my freshman and sophomore year, it was a phenomenal learning experience being behind those guys that you referenced there. Especially the Rocco Milias, the Jack Schmakowskis, the Russoses, and I would just say that personally, my contribution started a little bit earlier, sophomore year. So I think as far as pressure goes, I don't think there's as big of a pressure component. I think we have the guys, right? We have Andrew Burmeister, we have Liam Doniger, AJ George. We have so much talent in this linebacking core. And so I think right now the real thing that we have to attack is just having the right mindset every game, coming to work every day with the right focus. And I think the pressure, we don't want to feel pressure, we want to apply the pressure. And so that's kind of what I would say to that.
Coach, let's talk about the defense for a moment if we can. People are always looking for a shorthand way to characterize a unit. Is it an attacking defense? Is it as a read and react? Is it a pressure on the back end? And there's some newness in your defense. There will be this year coming into this season. Give us a sense how you would characterize what you want that defense to be characterized as.
Just the most physical one that's being played on Saturdays, right? I mean, that's where it all hangs our hat. And there's a lot that goes into that from block destruction to tackling and even just from a toughness standpoint, mentally, emotionally, understanding the process of each play and each snap and being able to reset, whether a good result or bad result for Columbia, we're going to reset and make sure we're getting off the field and preventing points from hitting the board. Right. That's the ultimate goal for a defense. And I expect that to take place. And Ryan Osborne's a tremendous addition here. Carleaf Taylor's defensive line coach has been a tremendous addition for us. And I really do see a lot of the fundamental side of things cleaning up in terms of this unit. And it's going to bleed into special teams as well, which is awesome in terms of how we're teaching these guys from a fundamental perspective.
As the head coach, and I suspect different coaches have different approaches to this. So you have 2 years ago an Ivy League championship. And last year, for a whole lot of reasons, the season was not what anybody had expected it to be. That's not a secret. How, in dealing with your players, do you mention at all the 2 years ago IB championship in terms of your building into the season? How do you deal with that?
No, that has not been a mention at all, right?
Okay.
Everything is, and as we learned, right? Outside circumstances, we can't control them. So move on, focus on what's in front of your face. And that's really the only way to approach the day-to-day process. That's the only way to really see, right, the big win by achieving the small wins first. And that's really a huge thing for our process here. And I think our players have done an awesome job, and we're excited to find out and what other steps we can take as a program come back August 20th when these guys get back to us.
Caleb, from your perspective, and you guys were there in 2024, from your perspective, how do you build off of what happened in 2024, especially in light of the difficulties in last season?
I think the majority of it is just like Coach Pop said, just blocking out the noise of what happened last year and getting back to a focus of the daily wins that we want to achieve every single day. Um, I know also what I want to bring from 2024 is the leadership experience that we had in 2024. And that is my goal, and me and Chuck's goal as well, as he could probably speak for himself. Us just being the best leaders we can possible to be able to bring this team together, and like Coach Pop said, bring other guys uh, and allow us to just forget the past, but move on to something and build something greater than we had in the past. And this year, I feel like all the work that we have put in the winter, in the spring, with the new coaches coming in to be that support and base level for us. I feel like we have that here in 2026, and I'm very confident in our group and the guys and all of our coaches that we'll be able to accomplish a lot of great things this year.
About that, what Caleb says, how, as a leader, all right, where you guys obviously are for this team this year, how does that change your day-to-day preparation as a football player as part of this team?
I think how it changes is just being more versatile and getting involved in more rooms, allowing myself to spread around the team and not just be keyed in on just the DBs or just myself and my development, but also, like I said, bring other people with me, making sure I'm learning how to be a better leader, making sure I'm having conversations with different guys to not just bring myself and my group up, but the whole team as a whole. And just the way that we're developing ourselves, making it known our standard and how we expect everybody to approach every single day, and making it clear and having these conversations with people to make sure that everybody's on the same page, we're on the same whistle, on the same beat, so that when we come in the fall, there's no surprise to anybody of how we're moving, how fast and how physical we want to be. And just the end goal, making sure everybody has the same end goal and creates the same process for themselves to be able to achieve it. So just me learning how to be a leader, how to be more vocal, how to voice that to my teammates, but also learning how to lift them up when they do good and lift them up when they're not doing so well, so that they're able to travel with me and not me have to drag them.
And Chuck, I'm going to come to you 1 second. Just a reminder, the media folks out there, if you want to question either coach or any of the players, use the raise hand function, and we'll get you into the conversation. Chuck, same question to you. It's one thing to be preparing as a linebacker on the defense. It's another thing to introduce the element of a team leader to your day-to-day preparation. How do you handle it?
Yeah, so one of the biggest points of learning from last year for me at least was really understanding what is it going to take to win football games? What is it going to take to win an Ivy League championship? And so I think Caleb would tell you the exact same thing. A part of our role as leaders is communicating to everyone at all times exactly what we need from them from a commitment and an effort and an attention to detail standpoint. And so I think based off of how last year went, we really have no illusions as to what it's going to take for us to win. And I think the good thing here is that we have some amazing players, and everyone on our team has the attitude that's going to be required for us to get this ring. So I think that, from my perspective, it's just that communication standpoint that Caleb talked about, communicating to everyone exactly what we need from them each and every day.
And Coach, last word from you. After listening and having seen these guys play, I know that's a fabulous core for you of leadership and talent. When people say to you, as I'm sure they always do, Coach, how are we going to do this year? The short answer is what?
Come see us in August practice.
All right.
Right?
I plan on doing that, as a matter of fact. So we're looking forward to seeing Columbia again this year on the field. A reminder, first game, Columbia versus Lafayette. It's at Lafayette Saturday, September 19th at 12 p.m. Coach Chuck and Caleb will look forward to seeing all of you as we go through the season. It should be an exciting Ivy League season, as it almost always is. And I think Columbia is certainly going to be a part of that. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. You all be well. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Jack, appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.